Right. So in the last class, we have started with what constructors, and we have seen the difference between instance constructor and what static constructor. Okay. Now we'll discuss about inheritance. Okay. So inheritance means what? See, it is a process of using the properties of one class inside what another class. It is the process of using the components of one class inside another class. Understood? So inside a class, what are the components we are declaring so far? Attributes, methods. Okay. Similarly, we can declare events also. So all those things are called as what? Components. Okay. So just like in our basic ABAP, we have the concept of include program, right? So what we will do in the include program, we'll declare some global variables, okay? We'll define some subroutines, subroutine definitions. We'll define some module definitions. Like this, a include program can contain these three things: global variables, subroutine, and module definitions. So if you want to use this include in another repository object, what you will do? You'll use the keyword include followed by what? Include program name. Understood? So this is nothing but what? Reusability. Na? When do we go for include program? If you want the same variable, subroutine definition, module definitions to be accessible across many objects, we will declare them as part of what? Include program, and then we'll include it in other repository objects by using include keyword. Similarly, in object oriented also, we can use the components of one class inside another class by using what? Inheritance concept. Okay, the main purpose of inheritance is what? Reusability. Understood? Okay, so here if you see, the main aim of inheritance is reusability of the components. Reusability of the components, that is, a component declared in one class can be accessed by what? Other class. Okay, in inheritance two classes are involved. One is superclass, another is what? Subclass. This superclass we can call it as base class, and even subclass is also called as what? Derived class. Okay, so two classes involved: superclass and subclass. The class which gives the properties is called as superclass, and the class which takes the properties is called as what? Subclass. Am I clear? Which gives the properties is super, and which takes the properties is called as what? Subclass. Done. Then and we know that inside a class we can have three types of visibility sections: na? Public, protected, and what? Private. Okay, so only public and protected components can be inherited. That is, private components cannot be inherited. Understood? Okay, so we'll see some examples on this, then we'll understand. So the main aim of inheritance is what? Reusability. Okay, right. So we have different types of inheritance, like single inheritance, multiple inheritance, and what? Multi-level inheritance. Okay, so it is something like this here. If you take single inheritance, what is the definition I gave here? A class acquiring properties from only what? One superclass. That is called as what? Single inheritance. Online, please mute your speakers. Right. So a class acquiring properties from only one superclass is called a single inheritance. So if you see here, assume that we have a class here, class A, okay, and we have class B. Class B is going to inherit the properties from what? Class A. So for class B, which is the superclass here? Class A. Okay, so this we call it as what? Single inheritance. A subclass inherited from only one superclass, that is called a single inheritance. And multiple inheritance means a class acquiring properties from more than one entity. Here entity is what? Interface. So something like this. See here, assume that we have something called as interfaces. Going forward we'll discuss what is interface. We have an interface A and interface B. Okay, interface A and interface B, and this class is using the properties of what? More than one interface. That is nothing but called as what? Multiple inheritance. A class cannot inherit from more than one class, but a class can implement any number of what? interfaces. Understood? So what exactly is interface? Again, we'll understand going forward. Done? Then we have multi-level inheritance, like hierarchy. Okay, so for class B, which is a superclass, class A, and same class B will act as superclass for what? Class C. Multi-level inheritance. So that's what the notes I gave here. See here, in ABAP, multiple inheritance can be implemented using the combination of what? Class and what? Interface. So in the entry point of view, does ABAP support multiple inheritance? Means we should not say yes or no. What you have to say is a class cannot inherit more than one class, but a class can implement any number of interfaces. Understood? A class can use the components of any number of interfaces. Okay, done. Right. So multi-level means what? A class acquiring the properties from what? Another subclass. Right. Again, we will never create our own classes using what? Inheritance. But when you are working with the standard classes, you will have what? Inheritance relationship. Okay. For example, if I go to class builder SC24, yeah, we have a class something CL underscore GUI underscore custom container. Okay, CLGA custom container. If I display this class, okay, if you go to properties, what is a superclass? CLGY container. So this is the subclass and this is the superclass. So if you take these two classes into context, it is nothing but what? Single inheritance, because this class is using the properties of what? CLGY container. Let me navigate to CLGY container. I'll double click on this. Again, CLGI container is a subclass of what? CLGI controller. Control. Nothing but multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. If I double click on CLGI control, again CLGI control is having superclass CLGI object. Multi-level inheritance. Let me double click on this. CLGI object doesn't have any superclass. So this is a starting parent class. From this class only, the rest of the classes are what? Inherited. Multi-level inheritance. Okay, so before we start using the standard classes, first let us understand how to implement inheritance using custom classes. Clear? Right. So how do we do the inheritance? If you know Java, suppose assume that in Java we'll declare a class something A, okay, and I'll take another class B. This class wants to inherit what? Class A. So in case of Java, we use the keyword what? Extends. Class B extends what? Class A. Something like this. This is in case of what? Java. Okay. In case of ABAP, we will say class B. What? Definition. We have to use the keyword what? Inheriting from. Inheriting from what? Class C. This is in case of what? ABAP. So what I am trying to say is, in Java we use the keyword extends. Here we use the keyword what? Inheriting from. Okay, so that's what the note I give. Inheriting from is a keyword used as part of local class definition for inheriting what? Another class. Done. So let's see how to implement inheritance using custom class. I'll take a very simple example. Yeah, see here. Just try to understand. Suppose assume that I'll take a class something vehicle. Okay, some class vehicle. Inside this vehicle class, how many components I'm having? Overall, three components. Okay, wheels, brakes, and what? Display. Wheels, brakes, and display. So let me just create that class. What is the last program? 15. Huh? Type of program, I'll choose executable. Let us save it in the local object. Right. So first thing is, let us focus on this particular class. We need to create a local class something vehicle. which should contain some three components. So how do we create a local class? Class, some class name, LCL underscore what? Vehicle, definition. Right. So as part of this class, let me declare one public method, public section. How to declare instance method? By using the keyword methods. Methods, I'll give the method name as what? Display. Then in the protected section, I'll declare some two attributes. Data, what are the attributes here? Wheels and what? Brakes. Okay, so let me say data, wheels type I, brakes type I. So overall, this vehicle class contains how many components? Three components, right? Pritish, right? So see here, if you sleep, I'll also sleep, huh? Right, right. So this class contains how many components? Three components, one public method and two protected attributes. Let me implement this. Class LCL underscore what? Vehicle, implementation, and class. So how many methods I need to implement here? One method what? Display. So I'll say method display. So inside this method, let me print the values of the attributes. I'll print the value of wheels and what? Brakes. Wheels and what? Brakes. Done. So save it. Check it, no syntax error. Is it clear? So we have two attributes and one method. I implemented that method, which is printing the values of what? Wheels and what? Brakes. Done. Now let me take another class. So far in the last 15 examples, we are dealing only with what? One class. Now let me go for another class. Class, I'll say LCL underscore something cycle definition end class. So try to understand. Here this is related to what? Vehicle. Now we have another class what? Cycle. Okay, now cycle contains what? Wheels. Cycle contains brakes. Okay, instead of declaring those attributes once again, suppose here I'll say in the protected section, I'll say data wheels type I, brakes type I. Can I declare like this? Yes, once again I can declare what? Same components inside what? Cycle class. But what I have to do, instead of redeclaring them, I want to reuse the existing components. Okay, so here, yeah, I'll come back to this. So if you take this cycle class, how to do the inheritance? We have to use the keyword what? Inheriting from. So I'll say, here I'll say inheriting from. What is the existing class? LCL underscore what? Vehicle. LCL underscore vehicle. So here vehicle is what? Superclass. Cycle is what? Subclass. If you take these two classes into context, it is nothing but what? Single inheritance. Okay, done. Now in the public section of this class, I'll take one method here, method set cycle. Understood? Method set cycle. And I'll also take one attribute in the protected section. I'll take an attribute something color type what? String. Color type string. So overall cycle class contains how many components? Hmm? Five components. Cycle class contains five components. Why? Because cycle is inheriting what? Vehicle class. What is the concept of inheritance? All the public and protected components of the superclass will be inherited to what? Subclass. So this superclass vehicle contains two protected attributes and one public method. These three are inheritable. Na? So these three things will be inherited to what? Cycle class. So technically, cycle class contains how many components? Five components. 2 plus 1, 2 plus 3. Okay. So what is the meaning here is subclass can contain its own components as well as what? Inherited components. Subclass can contain its own components as well as inherited components. Now let me implement this method. Class LCL underscore cycle implementation end class. I'll say method set cycle and I'll say end method. So for the time being, I will not do the inheritance. I'll just comment it. I'm not doing the inheritance. Okay. So if you take cycle class now, it contains only what? Two components. One is method and this is what? Attribute. Now inside this set cycle, I'll say wheels is equal to something 2. Okay. And I'll say brakes is equal to 2. And I'll say color is equal to something green. Right. So is this valid or invalid now? Invalid. Why? Because as part of the set cycle method, we are trying to access what? Wheels, brakes, and color. Color is anyhow is available in the current class, but wheels, brakes is not available. So obviously it will not recognize. It may give an error saying that so and so is unknown. Okay, so when I do syntax check, I got an error. Field wheels is what? Unknown. So cycle class is unable to recognize these two attributes, wheels and brakes. So what I have to do now? I have to do what? Inheritance. So when you do the inheritance, public and protected components of the superclass will be inherited to subclass. So now save it, check it, no errors, done. Now inside this set cycle only, inside this set cycle only, let me display the value of color. Cycle color is, what is the attribute name? Color. Okay, done. Save it, check it. Right, so this is nothing but single inheritance. Now in the start of selection, I'll create the object for my subclass data, also ob1 type ref2. What is the subclass name here? lcl underscore cycle. lcl underscore cycle. I'll create the object, create object ob1. Right. So if you see this diagram here, this cycle class overall contains how many components? 5 components. Okay, so this bluish color, understand this is what? Inherited components. Wheels, brakes got inherited from what? Vehicle. And even display method also got inherited from the vehicle class. And subclass can contain its own components, color and what? Set cycle. Okay, so in the public section here, how many methods are there? Two methods. What are they? Display and what? Set cycle. So here, can I call these methods outside? Yes, they are what? Public. So one important point here, in the superclass vehicle, display is under what section? Public. So when it is inherited to subclass, it comes under what section? Same section, public. Protected also under what? Protected. Private anyhow cannot be inherited, so it will not come to what? Subclass. Okay, so let me call these two methods now. Both these methods are instance methods. So I'll say call method. First let me call the set cycle method, ob1 of set cycle. Then I'll call the method ob1 of, what is that? Display. Right. So ob1 is object of what? Subclass. Using that object, I'm accessing its own method. Also I'm accessing what? Inherited method. Na? This display belongs to which class? Vehicle class. I'm able to access it by using the object of what? Subclass. So when I execute this, and I got what? Cycle color is what? Green. And this is nothing but wheels and what? Brakes. Is it clear? So here output is not important. The main thing is we are reusing the components. What are the components we are reusing? Wheels, brakes, as well as what? Display. Display also belongs to which class? Vehicle class. I am able to call it by using the object of what? Subclass, because it got inherited. So I am reusing what? These three things: wheels, brakes, and what? Display. So if you take these two classes into context, it is nothing but what? Single inheritance. Now within the same class, before I continue, let me take online questions first. Online, any questions? Classroom? Sorry? Let us speak in English, boss. No. Right? In the interview, if you tell the answer in Telugu, will he accept? No, na? It is for your benefit only, not for my benefit. So tell me. Hmm. What you are asking is, can we implement the superclass method inside subclass? Next topic, polymorphism. Right? Yeah, online, any questions? Right. So as of now, we are focusing only on what? Inheritance. In the next concept, we'll discuss how to re-implement the superclass method. Done. So can I proceed further, classroom? Okay. Now let me take another class here, like what? Bike. Okay. So I'll say class LCL underscore bike. Acha. Now definition. Should I inherit from vehicle or should I inherit from cycle? Should I inherit from vehicle or should I inherit from cycle? Hmm? Why? Correct. Why? Okay. If I inherit from vehicle, will I get any error? No error. Okay. So if I inherit from vehicle, what happens? Only these three will be inherited. But bike also contains color. Na? Color is available where? Inside what? Cycle. And cycle contains the components of what? Vehicle. So it makes sense if you inherit from what? Cycle. Understood? So class LCL underscore bike definition, inheriting from what is this? LCL underscore what? Cycle. So again, if you take only these two classes into context, it is nothing but single inheritance. If you take all these three classes into context, it is nothing but what? Multi-level inheritance. Yes or no? Okay. So again, since this bike is inheriting cycle, all the protected and public components of the cycle class will be inherited to what? Bike class. So what are the protected components here? Wheels, brakes, and what? Color. They got inherited. Then what are the two methods here? Public methods, display and set cycle. It got inherited. And bike can contain its own components. Huh? So let me take some additional components like what? Gears and what? Set bike. So I'll say in the public section, methods what? Set bike. And then what is this? Protected section, data. What is that attribute I want to take? Gears. So data gears type what? I. Right? So if I leave it like this now, will I get any error? My question is, if I leave it like this now, will I get any error? What error? Yeah, because bike class contain its own method what? Set bike. We must implement that method, na? Right? So if I leave it like this, obviously I'll get an error. Bike definition does not have what? Bike implementation. So class LCL underscore bike implementation end class method. What is the method name? Set bike end method. I'll set some values. Wheels equal to something 2, brakes is equal to something 1, something. Okay, color is equal to also red, and what else? Gears. Gears is equal to something. I am directly hard coding. If you don't want to hard code, already we know how to pass what? Parameters. Okay, done. And here only I'll print the value of the gears. Save it, check it, done. So let me create the object for the bike class. Right, so I'm creating the object for the bike class. ob2 ob2 set what? Bike. Right, so I'm just calling the method set bike, and then I'm calling the display method. I'll also print what? Color of bike, because display method is printing only what? Wheels and what? breaks. That's the reason I am printing color and gears in that method only. So I got some result. Color of bike is red. Number of gears for bike is what, something 5. This is wheels and this is what, brakes. Is it clear? Very clear. So overall I am printing all the 4 components. So the main thing you have to focus here is inheritance. Okay. Suppose if I remove this protected, I'll make this as private. So what I am doing here, this wheels and brakes I am declaring under what, private section. Okay, so private components cannot be inherited na? So even though you are inheriting the class, private components cannot be inherited, means I cannot access wheels and brakes inside what, subclass I'm trying to access. So when I do syntax check, I got an error. Wheels is what, unknown. Even though you are able to, you are inheriting the class, I cannot access the private components of the superclass. So to summarize, so what is the differences between public, protected, private at component level? Public components can be accessed what? Outside the classes. Protected cannot be accessed outside the classes. Private also cannot be accessed outside the classes. Public can be inherited to subclasses. Protected also can be inherited to subclasses, whereas private cannot be inherited to subclasses. So what is the difference between public, protected, private at component level? Means these are the differences. Done. What is the difference between a protected and private? Protected can be inherited, whereas private cannot be inherited. What is the difference between public and protected? Public can be accessed anywhere, whereas protected can be accessed only within the same class or inside what, subclass, but not outside the classes. Am I clear? Right. So if you take all these 3 into context, we call it as what, multi-level inheritance. Any questions? Online, any questions? Classroom? Multiple inheritance we can discuss only after discussing what? Interfaces. Okay. No dots? Right. Let us quickly implement the same thing in what, global classes. Done. I'll implement that in what, global, means global inheritance. So very simple. So I'll go to class builder. I'll give the class name as something zcl underscore what, vehicle, create. It's already there. So let me give it as something y cl underscore vehicle, create, some description. What is the default visibility for any class? Public. Okay, and what is the class type? Usual ABAP class. So far we are not focusing on what, final checkbox. Okay, by default this is selected na. Let it be selected. Let it be selected. I am not deselecting it. Right. So I'm creating a vehicle class. Right. So inside this vehicle class, let me declare some attributes. What are the attributes? Wheels and brakes. And let me give it as what, instance attribute. Visibility I'll give it as what, protected. Okay. Type what, integer. Similarly for brakes also, I'll take instance attribute, protected, type integer. Done. Then I'll take a method. Is it clear? We have 2 instance protected attributes. I'll go to methods. I'll give the method name as display. Let me create this as public so that I can call it what, outside. I can inherit as well as I can call it outside. Let us implement the method display. Right. So let me just copy it as it is. No syntax error. Activate this class. Right, so this vehicle class is ready. Now let me create another class, ycl underscore what. I'll create what, cycle class, provide some description. Right, so in case of local classes, how we are doing the inheritance, we are using the keyword what, inheriting from. Okay, so here if you want to inherit a global class, we have a button here. What is this? Create inheritance. Understood? So when I click on create inheritance button, it is asking for what? Superclass. What is a superclass here? YCL underscore what? Vehicle. But this vehicle class was created as the final class. Na? Final checkbox was selected, right? When I was creating the vehicle class, by default final keyword is what, selected. Okay, so I'm trying to inherit a final class. I'm trying to inherit a final class. So when I save, it is giving me an error. Class vehicle is what, final. It cannot have what, subclasses. So any class declared as final cannot be inherited. Any class declared as final cannot be inherited. Am I clear? So if I want to inherit this vehicle class, what I have to do now? Go back to the vehicle class and remove that checkbox final na? Then only I can do the inheritance. So let me cancel this. Right, so I'll just cancel, go back to the vehicle class. Right, so see, this class is already created, so I'll open it in change mode. Go to what, properties. Somewhere here we have checkbox with final, so let me deselect the checkbox final. Okay, since I modified the properties, I need to reactivate the class. Right, so vehicle class is activated. Now go back to the cycle class, create the cycle class now. Done. Right, I'll click on this. What is that class? YCL underscore vehicle. Okay, should I deselect final? Yes, because further I'm going to create another class bike. That bike has to inherit what, cycle. So instead of again modifying later on, now only I'm deselecting. Is it clear? So I'm deselecting this. So I'm trying to inherit a vehicle class. So when I save it, so it is allowing me to inherit. Now you can see here what happened. It is showing me the display method, which is public method na? And if you go to attributes, it is showing the protected attributes also. So protected and public components will be inherited to what, subclasses. Sometimes, is it clear? Sometimes what happens is, we have a checkbox here, filter. Okay, let me select the checkbox filter. The moment I select the checkbox filter, what happened? It is not showing me the, internally it is inherited, but it is not showing the inherited component. So when you're practicing in your laptop or somewhere else, make sure that the filter checkbox is deselected so that we can view the inherited components. Am I clear? So I'm just deselecting this. Right, so it is showing me the inherited components. Then this subclass can contain its own components, no? So I'll go to attributes. What is the attribute you want to take here? Color, let me take it as instance. Protected type what, string. Okay, and inside the methods, I'll take one public method, set cycle. I'll create it as public. Implement the set cycle method. Double click on this. I'll just copy the logic as it is. Done. Okay, so activate the class. Is it clear? Now let me quickly create another class. What was that? Bike. Now see here, while creating this bike class, I will not do any inheritance. Understood? I'm just creating an independent class. I'm not doing any inheritance. Okay, so should I deselect final? Doesn't matter, because further I'm not going to do any inheritance. So doesn't matter here, but I'm not inheriting any class. right? Now the class is created. Now I have realized that I want to do the inheritance. So what I can do, go to what? Properties. Understood? Go to properties. There is a button here. What is this? Super class. Am I clear? So bike class is already available now. At later point of time, I have realized that I have to do the inheritance. So come back to the class properties. Click on what? Super class. What is the super class you want to inherit? YCL underscore what? Cycle. Understood? YCL underscore cycle. Now if you go to attributes, it is not showing. I think I need to save it once. Right? When I save it, yeah, it is showing the what? Inherited attributes and inherited methods. Am I clear? Then as usual, I'll take some additional attributes. Set bike. Let us take it as public so that I can call it outside. Implement the set bike method. Right, so activate the class. So all the three are what? Activated. Now type of program executable. So already the class definitions and implementations are available. Just I need to create the objects and access them. So just copy it as it is. What is the class name? Via YCL underscore cycle and YCL underscore bike. Understood? I'm just creating the objects for the respective classes and accessing the components. I got the same result. Am I clear? So if you take our local classes, if you go back to the previous example, yeah, in the previous example, I want to create this vehicle class as final. Understood? So what you have to do, as part of definition, we have to use the keyword what? Final. Understood? We have to use the keyword final. So when I do syntax check, I'll get an error. The final class vehicle cannot have any subclasses. Understood? So here we use the keyword final. There we have the checkbox. Am I clear? So in the entry point of view, what is the purpose of final keyword? What is the answer? No, the question answer should be whether the final keyword is at class level or at method level. We can use the final keyword at two levels. One is at what? Class level, another is at method level. Method level we have not yet discussed. If it is at class level, class cannot be inherited. So going forward, we will see the final keyword at what level? Method level. Understood? So blindly we should not answer. We should ask whether it is at class level or at what? Method level. Okay, so just for your understanding. I'll just comment it for reference. Final means what here? Cannot be inherited. Done. Right. So this is the overall concept of what? Inheritance. Inheritance means what? Reusability of what? Components. We have single, multiple, and what? Multi-level inheritance. Only whenever a class inherits another class, only public and what? Protected components will be inherited. Private components cannot be inherited. Done. Any questions? Online, any questions? Classroom, any questions? Fine. So now let us move on. Let us discuss about what? Polymorphism. Okay. So polymorphism meaning is what? Many forms behavior. Many forms behavior. Okay. So let's take an example on this. Right. So there are two scenarios for a polymorphism. One is method overloading, another is method overriding. Method overloading and method overriding. First, let us focus on what? Method overloading. ABAP doesn't support method overloading. ABAP doesn't support method overloading, but whereas C++ and Java supports what? Method overloading. So let's understand what is this method overloading. So I'll take a class ABC definition end class. In the public section, I'll declare one method, methods M1. Done. Now within the same class, I'll declare one more method M1, but I'll take one parameter what? Importing X type what? I. Then I'll take another parameter importing X type C. I'll take another parameter X type I and Y type I. Okay, so this is called as what? Method overloading. Method overloading means overloading the same method with a different number of parameters and different types of parameter. This is very much valid in C++ and Java. Okay, but whereas here, is it clear? All the method names are what? Same. Here we are having 0 parameters. Here we have what? 1 parameter. Here also we have 1 parameter. But the data type of parameter is what? Different. Okay, so this process is called as method overloading. Okay, which is not supported in ABAP. So when I do syntax check, what is saying here? Method M1 has already been declared. Is it clear? So in C++ and Java, we don't have a concept of declaration. So there it is supported, but here it is not supported. Okay, but ABAP supports method overriding. Okay, if any one of the feature is supported, still we can say it supports what? Polymorphism. Understood? So the difference between overloading and overriding means overloading means what? Yeah, I just gave some notes here. You can just go to that. See here. It is a process of what? Overloading the same method by passing what? Different number and different types of parameters. Done? Now let us focus on method overriding. ABAP does not support what? Method overriding. Okay. So I'll just keep this for your reference. We'll get syntax error, but just for your reference, I'm keeping the program as it is. I'll take a class ABC definition end class. In the public section, I'll take one method M1. Methods M1. Okay. Let me implement this method. Method M1 end method, and here I'll say inside instance method M1 of class what? ABC. Okay, I'm just declaring the method and implementing the method. Done. Now I'll take another class LCL underscore ABC LCL underscore something PQR definition. How to do the inheritance? Inheriting from, what is the class? LCL underscore ABC. So according to inheritance principle, all the public and protected components will be inherited to what? Subclass. This superclass ABC contains only one public component what? M1, which will be inherited to what? Subclass. Okay, so technically PQR class contains one method. Na? What is that method? M1. Okay, so when I do syntax check, as of now I don't have any errors. Understood? As of now I don't have any errors. Done. Now in the start of selection, I'll create the object for my subclass data OB or OB1 type ref2. What is the subclass name? LCL underscore PQR. Excuse me, just hold on. So I'm creating the object for what? Subclass. What is the subclass here? PQR is the subclass. Understood? PQR contains how many components overall? One component, which is inherited method. What is that method? M1. Can I access that method using this OB1? Yes, because it got inherited. So I'll say I'll create the object first, create object OB1, and I'll say call method OB1 of what is the method name? M1. So when I execute this, inside instance method M1 of class what? ABC. OB1 is object of what? Subclass. M1 is a method of what? Superclass. I am able to access because it got inherited. Now, in the public section of this class, I'll say methods M1. Is it valid or invalid? No, forget about formalism. At this stage, is it valid or invalid? Why invalid? So already M1 got inherited from what? ABC to what? PQR. Again, we are trying to declare the same method what? M1. Okay, so obviously I would get an error. M1 has already been declared, something like that. So when I do syntax check, I got an error. M1 has already been declared. Understood? So M1 method is already implemented in what? Superclass. I want to re-implement that inside what? Subclass. Re-implement that inside subclass. So whenever a subclass wants to re-implement superclass method, the subclass has to redeclare that method by using redefinition keyword. So here, if I leave it like this will give me what? Syntax error. Okay. So what I'll do here, methods M1, yeah, methods M1, I'll say what? Redefinition. Methods M1 redefinition. So what is the meaning of redefinition? We are telling SAP that we are going to re-implement the what? Re-implement the superclass method. Redefinition means we need to re-implement the superclass method. So if I stop it like this, let's see what happens. I got an error. Definition does not have what? Implementation. Let me implement that. So I'll say class, what is this? LCL underscore PQR implementation, end class. Then I'll say method M1, and then what? End method. Inside instance method M1, redefined in class what? Something what? PQR. Is it clear? Right? So already in the superclass we have some implementation. Right? Without disturbing that, I want to re-implement that inside what? Subclass. So for that, what the subclass has to do? The subclass has to redeclare the superclass method by using what? Redefinition keyword, and I am doing the redefinition. Done. Now earlier when I called this method M1, I got the implementation of which is executed. ABC got executed. Now we are having two implementations. What are they? ABC implementation as well as what? PQR implementation. Am I clear? So let's see what happens. So when I do syntax check, execute this, what happened? It has executed what? Only one, not both. It has executed only what? Redefined implementation. Na? Understood? But what is the purpose of redefinition? without disturbing the existing functionality, we are plugging additional functionality. The purpose of redefinition is what? Without disturbing the existing functionality, we are plugging additional functionality. So whenever I invoke that method, I should able to access both the implementations. No? But in this case, what is happening? Yes, it is it is giving preference to what? Its own implementation. It is giving preference to its own implementation. Why its own implementation? OB1 is object of which class? PQR. So it is taking the implementation from which class? PQR class. Is it clear to everyone? Understood. But the meaning of redefinition is I should be able to access what? Both the implementation. So let's see how to do it. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll take another method in the super class. What is this? Methods what? M2. Let me implement this. Inside instance method M2 of superclass what? ABC. Okay. Can I redefine this method also? Yes, because this method also will be inherited to what? Subclass. No, because it is public method, it will be inherited to subclass. So how do we re-implement? You have to say what? Methods M2. You have to use the keyword what? Redefinition. Okay, let me re-implement. Method M2 inside what? Instance method M2 redefined in the class, redefined in what? Subclass picker. Here also I'll say like this. Is it clear? So both the methods are what? Redefined. Now using that object, try to understand. I'll call which method? M2. Again OB1 is object of which class? Subclass only. So here also what happens? It will pick the implementation from what? Its own class. It is picking the implementation its own class. But what I want is for M2 method, I want to access both the implementation, superclass as well as what? Subclass. Understood? So what I'll do is in the subclass, okay? So what is the default behavior here? When I call the method M2, OB1 is the object of which class? PQR. So control is coming to what? PQR class implementation. So from here, I'll say call method M2. Call method M2. What is the result I'll get? Anyone, classroom or online? Anyone? Hmm? So what you are saying is first it will print the subclass implementation, then it will print what? Superclass implementation. Huh? Yes. Anyone, classroom or online? What is the result? This only this one. Huh? This anyway is coming earlier also. Na? Now also same. Huh? So no, no. Anyone, take your time. Think technically, you will get the answer. Say execution starts from here. I am creating the object. I am calling the method M2. OB1 is the object of which class? PQR class. So what is the default behavior? Control comes to PQR implementation only. Na? It will come here. It will print this. You are saying what? Call method M2. Again the control goes here. Again it will print here. Again you are calling the method what? M2. It will call here. It keeps on calling. Na? Yes or no? It keeps on calling. So it will lead to recursion, infinite execution, indefinite loop. See now, save it, check it, activate. When I execute, I will never get the results because it will keep on calling the method M2. The control will never come out of what? Method M2. Am I clear? So, is it clear? So I'll stop it forcefully. How to stop? Okay, so if I do like this, leads to what? Recursive call. Calling a method by itself is called as what? Recursive call. Okay, so I'll comment it for your reference. Here I'll say call method super keyword, super of what? M2. Understood? So inside the subclass, I have to use what keyword? Super keyword. So now when I say super of M2, control, which is the super class for this PQR? Yes, ABC. Yeah? It goes to ABC and executes the implementation what? M2. So see the output now. Am I clear? So I got the implementations of both the classes, super class as well as what? Subclass. Am I clear? So whenever we redefine any method, it is recommended to also call what? Superclass implementation. How to call it? By using what keyword? Super keyword. I cannot use the super keyword wherever I want. It can be used only inside what? Redefined methods. It can be used only inside what? Redefined methods. Here also, if you want to call M1 superclass also, same thing. But wanted I am not calling, just to show you that since I have not called, only it is executing the subclass implementation. But whereas here, both. Okay, I believe in case of Java, I forgot it long back, I forgot. If you don't call the superclass implementation, it will give error there. But whereas here, it will not give any error. It's our wish, whether we call or don't call. Am I clear? But I believe in case of Java, it is mandatory to call what? Superclass implementation by using what? Super keyword. So let me debug this, try to focus. I'll put the breakpoint. Right, I'm creating the object ob1 of m1. It will call only subclass m1. That's all. Now I'm calling what? M2. First the control goes where? First the control goes to subclass only. Why? OB1 is the object of what? OB1 is the object of subclass only, na? That is PQR. Since it is the object of PQR, control always goes to what? Subclass. Yes, it is going to PQR class M2. Right? I'm executing some logic there. Yes, I got the result. Inside instance M2 find. Now from here I'm saying what? Super of what? M2. For PQR, which is a super here? ABC. Now the control goes to what? ABC. When I say F5, control is going to that ABC class. It will execute that. Done. That's it. Coming out of the method. Done. That's all. Clear? So what is the purpose of super keyword means? What you have to say? Whenever we redefine a superclass method inside what? Subclass, it is recommended to call the superclass implementation. That is done by using what keyword? Super keyword. Any questions? First, I'll take online questions. Online, any questions? Many of them are absent today in the online. Classroom, any questions? Okay, so what are the points you have to focus as of now is whenever you want to re-implement the superclass method inside what? Subclass. The subclass first of all should first of all redeclare that method by using what keyword? Redefinition keyword. Okay, and in case if you want to call the superclass implementation also from the subclass, we have to use what keyword? Super keyword. If I don't use super keyword, it will call its own implementation again. It becomes what? Recursion. Done? Okay. Now I'll take another method. Methods M3. I'll implement this. inside instance method what? M3 of superclass so and so. Can I redefine this method M3? Yes, it is also what? Public. It will be inherited na? Yes or no? It will be inherited. I can redefine. But before I do that, I want to check whether it is inherited or not. How do you check? Call method ob1 of what? What? M3. Am I clear? ob1 is the object of what? Subclass. M3 is a method of what? Superclass. Understood? It got inherited na? So I can call it. What I got? Inside instance method. So what is the meaning? It got inherited, right? It got inherited. Now I want to redefine this method in the what? Subclass. So how to do it? Methods M3. What you have to say? Redefinition. But before that, I'll declare this as what? What? Final. I'm declaring this method as what? Final. Means method will be inherited because it is what? Public, but cannot be redefined inside what? Subclass. Understood? But I'm trying to redefine now. I'm trying to redefine. I should get what? Syntax error. So save it, check it. What is the error I got? The final method M3 cannot be redefined. Am I clear? But it will be inherited. See, this will giving me what? Yes, syntax error. Is it inherited here? I am calling na. Let's see. It has got inherited now. So what is the meaning? Final methods can be inherited but cannot be redefined. So that's why in the interview point of view, final means don't think it will stop inheritance. Okay, we should ask whether it is at what? Class level or at what? Method level. If it is at class level, class cannot be inherited. If it is at method level, if it is a method level, that public or protected method can be inherited, okay, but cannot be redefined. Am I clear? Now one more point. I'll take one private section, methods M4. Methods M4. Okay, let me implement this. Inside instance method M4 of what? Superclass. Will it be inherited? No, because it is what? Private. So there is no question of redefinition. Redefinition is possible only for what? Only for inherited methods. Redefinition is possible only for inherited methods. Inherited methods, it can be public or what? Protected. Okay. Now I'll give this as what? Final. Does it make sense? Private cannot be inherited. So there is no, doesn't make sense in giving it as what? Final. Let's see what happens. Good. Good. What is the error I got? Private methods cannot be redefined. The final specification therefore makes no sense. Understood? So final keyword can be given only for what? Public and what? Protected methods. Not for what? Private. You understood the concept? Okay, I cannot use the keywords wherever I want. Done? So let me just remove this. So I'll keep this for your reference. This will give me what? Yes, syntax error. So what are the points you have to understand? A public or protected method, a public or protected method declared as final can be inherited but cannot be redefined. Okay, and only public or protected methods can be declared as what? Final. Yes or no? Only public or protected methods can be declared as final. Done. Now already we know how to declare static methods. Na? How to declare static methods? Class methods. Let me give it as M5. It is what method? Public only, na? Because I declared under what? Public section. Let me implement that. Inside what? Inside static method. What is that? M5 of what? Superclass ABC. Done, 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 done. Okay. Save it, check it, no errors. So will this method be inherited? Yes, because it is what? Public. So now what I'll do, it will be inherited to subclass now. And already we know static methods can be accessed either by using object or by using what? Class. Okay, so I'll say call method, what is the object name? OB1 of what? M5. Save it, check it, no errors, done. Did I got that inside? Static method M5 of what? Superclass. Can I call the same method by using the class name? What is the class name? LCL underscore what? PQR, but you have to use what? Implies, na? Right? So this is also valid, na? Static methods can be called by using what? Class name also. Yes, I got it. Done? Okay. So this method M5 got inherited, na? This method M5 got inherited. I want to redefine. How do we redefine? Yes, not method, class methods. Class methods. What is that? M5, yeah? M5 redefinition. Okay, save it. See the error message. What I got? You cannot redefine what? Static methods. Am I clear? Even though it is public, it will be inherited, but cannot be what? Redefined. Only instance methods can be what? Redefined. So this is again what? Syntax error. Am I clear all these points? Only instance methods can be redefined. Okay, static methods cannot be redefined. Okay, done. Now I'll take another scenario. I'll take another method. Methods M6. Right? Methods M6. What is this method? Instance public method. Instance public method. Let me implement this. M6 inside what? Instance method M6 of what? Superclass ABC. Save it, check it, no errors. Is it clear? So I declared one instance public method, I implemented that. Now can I redefine this inside the subclass? Yes, because it is instance, anyway it is public, I can redefine. So I'll try to redefine. Just observe here. In the superclass, it is declared as what method? Instance, no? In the superclass, it is declared as what? Instance. Now when I'm redefining, I'll say M6 what? Redefinition. I'm trying to change the category, na? Am I clear? In the superclass, it is what? Instance. But in the subclass, I'm trying to change the category. Let's see what happens. Save it, check it. You cannot redefine what? So in other words, just understand that we cannot change the category. We cannot change the category. So again, this is what? Ruled out. Done? Now another scenario. I'll take methods M7. Okay, I'll implement this. Method what? M7. Inside instance what? Public method M7 of what? Superclass, so and so. Done? Inside instance public method M7 of superclass. So M7 is what here? Instance public method. Will it be inherited? Yes. Can you redefine? Yes. Okay, it is under what section? Public. Now let me go to subclass. In the subclass, I'll try to redefine inside what? Protected section. What is that method name? M7. How to redefine? Redefine. What is the change now? In the superclass, it is public, but in the subclass, I'm trying to change the visibility now. So let's see what happens. Save it, check it. Yeah, I got an error. When you redefine a method, you cannot change its visibility. Public must be redefined in public. Protected must be redefined in what? Protected. Any of private cannot be inherited. So no question of what? Redefinition. Is it clear? So again, this is what? syntax error. So all these points I gave it here. Just go through that. Am I clear? Okay, we have not yet discussed this hierarchy of constructors. Leave it. Right? Any questions for today? Please ask me. Online, any questions? No, final keyword is only for classes and methods, not for attributes. Final keyword is only for classes and methods, not for attributes. Classroom, any questions? Right, so as of now, we have seen polymorphism. Tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll take constructors. Already we know constructors. Na? We'll see can we redefine constructors or not. So far, we are redefining only what? Methods, normal methods, instance methods. Okay. Tomorrow, we'll take constructors and we'll see these scenarios. We have some 4 to 5 scenarios. Okay, we'll discuss these scenarios tomorrow. Please don't take class tomorrow. Tomorrow is what is that? Saturday. I'm okay. You want break? Okay for what? No class or class? Okay. Anyhow, I'll share the videos, not everyone. Okay, so we'll do one thing. We'll take break for tomorrow. Okay, again we'll have the next class on what? Monday. Right? We'll have the next class on Monday. I'll try to share this all these videos by today. Okay, did I share yesterday's video? Yesterday's I think I have not shared. Day before yesterday's video I've shared. So I'll share the yesterday's video and today's video. Practice that. Monday we'll have the class. Done? So next class is again on Monday online. Right? So I'll share the complete material and recordings by end of today. Sure. So I'm winding off. We'll meet again on Monday. Okay.